Hello, everyone. It's Kristen Sullivan with Just As Planned, your wedding podcast. I am coming to you today with a colleague and dear friend of mine, Miss Jac Bowie. Hi, Jac. How are you?
Hi, Kristen.
So, do I get to say you're down under? Like, we don't really know here in Florida what to say.
I'm happy to be referred to as I'm down under. I'm absolutely down under.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So just to give the audience a little background, Jac and I are in the Global Wedding Academy together. She represents Australia and I represent North America. So that's how we met and have been collaborating together. Jac has Darling Don't Panic. I love saying that so much all the time.
Yep.
That is your boutique wedding business. And then you are Jac Bowie Travel as well. So everyone watching, you can have the best of both worlds with Miss Jac. You can have a destination wedding. You can also have her plan a fabulous honeymoon after your wedding. And how long have you been doing this, Jac?
Well, the travel side of things actually way longer. My first job as a travel agent was in 1998. So it's a while ago. And I've gone off and done all different things in travel. I worked as a flight attendant. I worked on a cruise ship. I've worked on tour desks. So I've done lots and lots of different things with travel. So, I've come back to it in recent years, just before COVID. You planned that well. Came back just before COVID, but all of those experiences have helped me, gain really great knowledge in terms of product and things like that. So I've been a travel agent forever. In terms of weddings, I actually was a theatre producer for about 10 years, mostly in my 30s, and did West End shows, like brought them to Australia, did like really, really big full-on events and had to sell tickets and do PR and AV and everything. So when I found this business for sale, and it was called something else, it wasn't Darling Don't Panic then, it was a little one-woman show. I bought it and thought, weddings, this will be a breeze. After my big 2,000-seater theatre shows. And to be honest, it really was. It really, I think that I've had way more stress previously with my shows. So I found so far, we're a few hundred weddings in now. I haven't had anything that's sort of remotely like any of those big shows. So yeah, solid background in travel and then solid background in events, which has led me to these two businesses.
Amazing. I love the whole theater background because it is a production, right? Like weddings are a production on a different scale, obviously. Not selling tickets, but maybe.
Yeah, usually they all turn up, so you don't have that stress.
Oh my goodness. And then it's so great with all of your travel background, because for people that are doing destination weddings and maybe they want to go on a cruise ship or they want to go to a resort or they want to just completely be by themselves, you have all of that firsthand knowledge to offer them. That's so awesome. I have clients ask me about weddings all the time. I'm sorry, about weddings too, but honeymoons all the time. And I'm like, not my thing.
Yeah. And it's not just that, it's destination weddings as well, group travel. So often we'll have a situation where I'm just thinking of a recent one where we had like 50 people from Singapore need to come to the wedding in Australia. So we're able to help with all of that, with the transfers from the airport, the accom, the flights, even tours while they're here, travel insurance, all of that sort of stuff. And I guess for the client to be able to sort of have me then log into our planner and put travel plans into their run sheet for the weekend and just give them this seamless experience where you have a travel agent that has visibility over the event, understands the logistics of the event, that flight time's actually not going to work because they've got the rehearsal or all that sort of stuff just works so well together.
Yeah, all the background and you're able to, just like you said, arrange. I have clients say all the time, they didn't know I was having a brunch. I forgot to tell them. So they're leaving too early to make it. And I'm like, oh, that's a shame. Like you actually take care of that need.
Yeah.
And how many, you have a team, you are like little boutiques, like flowers everywhere. How many girls are with you?
I'm just looking now. I think it's 15. I
That's
should know this off the
amazing.
top of my heart. Yeah, it's 15 of us at the moment. So we do all of Australia, and I do New Caledonia destinations because it's just a favourite place of mine and I know it really, really well. So, but we haven't been able to do that for 2 years. It's just opening up. So yeah.
That was going to be my next question. I know it's always the dreaded question because I hate going back to it, but it really has taught us all so much. But literally the last 2.5 years have been brutal on our industry. Well, and for you, that's a double whammy because you have the weddings and the travel.
It was. So we had, look, I'm not going to lie, it was a year of hell with weddings. Luckily, in most cases, we moved them and we were able to sort of say, if we do a carbon copy in a year, we can do the whole thing and we can minimize, you know, any sort of change costs or anything like that. So most people took that up. Unfortunately, some of them had to do that more than once. but you know, it's just an ongoing beast that we were just sort of navigating at the time. But you know, there were of course people that refunded as well, which was tough. And really, I mean, there was just hardly any revenue coming in for that period. I mean, I think I've obviously blacked it out from like trauma, but but I think like most of 2020, I feel like we hardly had any kind of revenue coming in from weddings. And then on the flip side with travel, yes, I was putting flights into credit, you know, refunds. I processed about $350,000 Australian of travel that was COVID affected. So that actually took up more of my time because each one of those kind of undoing those bookings could be 100 to 200 hours. You know, you know, you're on the phone to airlines and things like that, that they're on skeleton staff. They've put people off. There's no reps. There's, you know, so it was just a battle. And I thought, you know what, though, if I do a really, really good job for these clients, they're going to come back. And I'm absolutely starting to see that now. I would say only really in the last 2 months, I've started to see a steady stream of either clients that have got a little bit of credit that they finally feel confident to use, or they're just so thankful for what I did last year for them that they're like, we can finally go somewhere, we want to book with you, you know.
You have made clients for life that way by helping people. Yeah,
it did send me grey in the process, but
I'm with you
yeah but look, it's going up to the point that you know, I've committed this week to a new co-working space, which I'm moving into hopefully next week, which I haven't had the confidence specifically for the travel business to be able, you know, to be able to have those overheads. But I feel really confident, and I feel like it's going to put me into a bustling space with lots of new leads walking past. So let's hope it all works.
I love it. So is Australia open if people want to come inbound for weddings now, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously there's different restrictions and they're changing all the time. So I would definitely advise people to, you know, look up. Sherpa is actually a really good site, SHERPA, Sherpa.com. Okay. It's really comprehensive. You not only sort of put in, I'm coming from Florida to Sydney, it'll prompt you for, are you immunised? What passport are you on? What are your stopovers? And it will spit out all the things according to all of those specifics that you've set. So, you know, if you were traveling with a husband and he was on a different passport, for example, it's probably slightly going to be different, the advice that he gets. It's that intricate. So that's what I use, and I use it outbound and everywhere at the moment.
That's
I mean, and we're looking at it when we book, and we're also looking at it obviously maybe a week before, because all of a sudden there might be this like, you're going to go and get a PCR 3 days before. So it's a good idea to just obviously check that regularly, that, you know, because it's not ever going to notify you or anything like that unless you have like an amazing travel agent like me. You're not going to get notified that there's been changes. So yeah.
And it is such a like fast moving change pace right now. It seems like daily everything is changing and updating. So it's so resourceful to have someone like you, that the last thing a bride wants to be dealing with is, you know, worrying about how many tests she has to get when she gets off the plane or whatnot.
Exactly. Sorry, I'll just shut this door. My cleaner's arriving. It's the most exciting part of my week.
I totally understand that. So where you mentioned earlier, where is your favorite place to do a destination wedding or event?
Oh, I know New Caledonia, I love. It's only a couple of hours from Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, 2 to 3 hours, depending on which city they're leaving from. Direct flight, they fly either Qantas or Air Caledonia, which is lovely airlines. Hotels are amazing. But I guess what I love is you're in the Pacific and you feel like you're in the Pacific. You've got your palm trees and your beautiful ocean and beaches and all of that going on, but it's French. So everyone speaks French. The food is French. You get that. Actually, you can get straight up French, but you can also get this sort of mixture of Pacific food with French. So like I've got a favorite restaurant that I go to there, and they'll do this sort of like, I don't know what it is, like a nachos thing, but it's with this tuna, and like it's just they put in local seafood and things like that, but it's still got a lot of French flavors. So lots and lots of different beautiful venues there that are really different. Like you can do your sort of 5-star hotel and get the Pacific backdrop and all that sort of stuff, but also like there's a place called Duck Island where you can have your whole island for your wedding. And it's really reasonable. I mean, I don't know since COVID, but the last time I looked at it, it was I'm sorry, Kristen, can you pause for a second? She just can't get.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so with New Caledonia, you get that Pacific backdrop and lots of different venues to choose from, including 5-star hotels and all the rest of it, which have the palm trees in the background and all of that sort of iconic Pacific backdrop. But I know, like, for example, there's this other place called Duck Island where you can have the entire island for your wedding. And I don't know what the pricing's like since COVID, but the last time I looked at it, it was about $10,000 Australian. And you had to add on food, but that came with like the DJ, the security, the whole venue, like hire, lights, everything. It was just, yeah. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So people go over on a water taxi and they have this whole space where there's like red deck chairs everywhere if you were there and it was still sort of beach time, or there's like live music, DJ, as I said, like everything that you need. And then everyone hopefully doesn't fall out on the water taxis going back. But it just takes them straight back to this promenade where there's quite a few of the hotels. So it's a really, logistically, it's actually quite a simple thing. But yeah, I love that. It's just, I don't know, something about it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, who doesn't want a private island for their wedding?
I know. And then also just the joy of like being there and going to, there's a supermarket that I'm mad for called Gant Casino, which I believe is from Paris. It's this French supermarket where you've just got rows of like meat, cheese, champagne, fresh bread. So the last time I stayed, I went quite cheap and did an Airbnb, but it was directly across the road from Gant Casino. So, I came home, like did my shopping, came home, and I bought nothing sensible. I opened the fridge later, it was like profiteroles, champagne, brie cheese. But yeah, I love it. Love it.
That's so amazing. I don't know. I love anything that's unique and that you can like take your guests on an experience, right? Like it's all about when you're traveling that far, or even if you're not traveling far, it's all about the experience. And that to me is something they're obviously probably not going to do again in their lifetime.
And I think with New Caledonia specifically, most people in Australia get to go there because it's a stop on a cruise ship. And unfortunately, they get 4 to 6 hours in Noumea in the port, which is really not a great part of town. And they don't have really much time to sort of get out and do anything else. So I think another added thing is it's this amazing, best kept secret that they're probably not going to go to outside of this this event that they're going to go to. So I find that's lovely. The other thing is, God, I know all the hotels now like the back of my hand. I've toured them all, seen all the different room types, seen all, like, So when I have these conversations with these couples, it's like, do you want the Voyager suite? Do you want this? You know, like I've been there. I've been in the rooms. It near killed me going up and down. But I thought if I'm going to, you know, if we're going to specialize, because it is really a niche for Darling Don't Panic for us to offer that. We're the only Australian wedding planners that do New Caledonia. And if they start trying to do it themselves, they only find local wedding planners that only speak French. So as soon as they're searching in English, they just get us. So I thought, I better be bloody good at it.
Well, it sounds like you know it very well. I think that they could trust that process quite well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And so if there is a bride out there, and we have all of these brides sometimes that they've gone through their wedding planning process and they're like, I want to become a wedding planner now. And they could do that with you. The uniqueness of that with you is you actually sell franchises, correct, to yours?
Yeah. So specific to Darling Don't Panic, as I said, I bought that business. It was a one-woman show. It was called Oh Perfect Day. And it was a one-woman show in Geelong, which is where I live in Australia. And I went through the process of growing it. So I jumped into the business full time and built this area. And then over the first sort of couple of years, I met a couple of girls in different locations that I personally trained up to do the same business. And that just really took off. I think what I've discovered is wedding planners typically just want to focus on doing weddings. They don't want to focus on sales and leads and social and marketing and ads, and which was what I was really good at. So there did come a point where I thought, I feel happier training wedding planners and doing the sort of sales and marketing and social side of it. And wow, I can then free them up to do the actual weddings, and they can just focus on that. And that's worked really well for us. So the business today, that's how it runs. I really focus on the sort of top level, like advertising, marketing, social. All the leads process is really automated. We use Dubsado really well. We've set up some great workflows with that and proposals and things. And then I promoted one of the planners, Kiri Walker, who you may have come across. She's also ex-Wedding Academy. She's now a head planner. So she actually sort of hands-on manages the girls now. So that's from recruitment to onboarding them to supporting them ongoing. So she has monthly catch-ups with the girls to just kind of touch base and go, what are the live weddings that we have? What are the issues? What can I help you with? So that's kind of just rocking and rolling really well at the moment. Yeah.
And you can build like an a la carte wedding. That's also unique, is that people can come and get as little as they want or as much as they want.
Yeah, I mean, there's a minimum spend, which I think it's not very much anyway, but it's yes, absolutely. They can jump on at the top of our website at darlingdon'tpanic.com. There's like a gold bar, and they can download what's called the info pack and build out their own quote. And that's selecting things like venue sourcing, caterer, celebrant, entertainment, and then of course at the bottom there's your on the day coordination, rehearsal, all that sort of stuff. So but as they're kind of selecting these pretty boxes at the bottom, it's building out the total for them, and then they can submit and it generates an invoice, and that's worked really, really well. I was worried when we moved to that we would get lots of like little ones, but it really hasn't affected. We're still getting that's the same sort of dollar value that we were before as packages, but people love it. That I find with us specifically, 99% of times they come to us and they've booked something, right? It's usually the venue, but it could be the venue and the florist or the venue and the caterer or whatever. So in their mind, they're like, why the hell do I need to pay for that? And they see value in that. But also, as they're kind of going through, it might prompt them to go, oh, but we might need a rehearsal. So they're in control. They're absolutely in control, and they're able to build out something that's an absolutely perfect individual fit for their situation. So that works really well.
It's brilliant. It really is, especially for someone, if they're not accustomed, obviously, to wedding planning or how it works. They don't think of everything. Sometimes they look on Google, Dr. Google, I call it, and they think that they're going to find everything, but you, obviously being the expert, have things built into those packages that they're not going to think about.
Yeah. And even we created all of these questionnaires as well. So say, for example, someone picks florist, that means that it really falls under the responsibility of the planner to oversee that planning component. So that's getting the quotes, obviously dealing with the supply, all of that. But step one of that is we actually send the client a floral questionnaire, and it prompts them for how many buttonholes, how many, are we getting a corsage? Are we getting, like, all the possibilities are on this enormous form. They go, I didn't even think of that. I thought I just needed a,
Exactly.
But we forward that to them. They fill that out. We PDF it, and then we send it to obviously the ones that we want, the florists that we want. But it's, please see attached for the quote, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of things like that we've implemented as well, that the wedding planners, the clients love it, but the wedding planners also love it, because it's like, flick it to the client, it's perfect. It gets out all the information that's in there, and we're able to be really efficient and go and get appropriate quotes really quickly.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that's really what they want to know. They come in and they want to know pricing straight away.
Yeah.
And you're giving it to them before they even talk with you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It works for us.
What is like the average stay? So if someone's inbound, not local, destination wedding for you, where is it? 3 nights? Is it 5 nights? Like, what are they normally doing with groups?
With New Cal, it's funny because we just started doing it and then COVID hit. So I haven't actually seen one through to the end, which is annoying. Yeah. But I'm thinking of 2 particular bookings that I had. One of them, they were just sort of saying to the couple, we're staying here. They were actually putting up the expense of the family. I think there was 50 people all up, and they were paying for a lot of them that were family. They weren't paying for friends, but it was kind of like, we're staying at the Le Meridien. We're getting you this room for this period while we're there. If you want to stay on, then there'd be their own arrangements or whatever. So I know with that one, it was a bit unusual. They were footing the bill for their whole family to stay at this 5-star hotel. The other one was a short period of time. So everyone paid their own way to New Cal. The couple were there. And then I also did travel for the couple to go on to Mexico for their honeymoon. So they had like a destination wedding for like 5 days, I think. And there were activities that we were going to do in terms of like brunches and things like that. And also organising some activities like going out to Amity Island, like some actual touristy things you can do in New Cal. And then, they were leaving everybody and going off to Mexico.
So smart.
Which I booked as well. So,
awesome.
Yeah, but for that, that was like a 7-day run sheet or whatever. Would have been longer with Mexico, but but as opposed to your typical situation with a wedding planner where you've got just your day or your weekend, this had everything. This had the Air New Zealand flights. This had the ecomm, the transfers in Cabo, everything. So
that's great. Do you feel that we're kind of like on the upward turn now, like we can put COVID behind us and we're moving forward in the wedding world again? Because everyone is still, I think, a little bit nervous to rebook, especially a destination wedding. Much like you, I've had clients that had to rebook 2 and 3 times, and I know people that are watching are like, what should we do? Do we make the expense? And I think now for me, I suggest obviously working with a travel agent and taking travel insurance. Is that what you also 100%. Advise?
100%. You don't want to be back in the days where you're going on Expedia and just picking the cheapest thing that you see, like the cheapest fare, because always, really, honestly, those cheap fares are usually completely not flexible, and they'll have other restrictions, whether or not you lose everything because it's not refundable, or there's a really expensive hidden change or cancellation fee. It could be $500, for a $900 flight. So just the simple, just going to somebody who's going to read all that fine print. He's going to take the time to go, there's a $900 flight, but it's non-refundable, or we can pay $1,100 and it's fully refundable. It's the change, and to just spell out to you while you're booking what those fees are, because there still might be change fees and things like that. But you know, for a really flexible fare, there may not be, or it may be like 2 free changes or something like that. But to have somebody to spell that out to you will give you confidence. And I think that goes with every element, is to try and get, you know, book components that are flexible, may cost a little bit extra, but if you can get the whole thing and feel confident that like it's all booked, and maybe right now in COVID I've got a good deal and I want to book now, then just make sure that, yeah, they're all flexible. You know what your travel restrictions are and what your options are, and just talk about them at the beginning. Just get it out of the way. Yeah. Because I think, yes, we want to go forward with confidence, but we also need to have our eyes open and go, things can change, but let's have a look at right now, like what all the options are, so we know that going into it. And, you know, I'm booking. I went to, as you know, New York and LA over Christmas and New Year's, and there was a bit of extra cost and admin involved with like PCR tests and things like that. But, you know, I just kept checking my Sherpa side and, you know, just obviously reading my own rules and things like that. And I felt confident, and I feel confident to book several more trips this year. I'm just going to do the same thing. So, yeah. But yeah, you won't catch me booking a non-refundable. That's for sure.
Yeah. And even giving enough time in between. So if you do encounter something or a delay, you know, I always tell the couple, please come in like 3 days before. Like, don't do that to yourself, especially if you're traveling such a long distance for a destination wedding. Let yourself rest and get caught up, right? Like, don't just roll into it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
And who knows, there could be some little pest 3 day before PCR test you've got to do, which you didn't know about. So just staying on top of all of that stuff. But yeah.
Well, Jac, that's amazing. I love always talking with you. You're so knowledgeable. So for everyone watching, Jac for sure wants to make sure everything goes just as planned. She is going to help with weddings and honeymoons, destination events. I mean, if you want a theater production for your wedding, then that's your girl.
Yes, unfortunately.
And you're going to post, Jac, all your information as well, so they can reach out to you for travel or weddings. And I just thank you so much for your time. It's always lovely to see you.
You too, darling.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.